And they don't want to be driving on the private system. And that may not be the case in the future. When it becomes upstream, you have thousands, tens of thousands of people like down the road, are ruling on like really general disputes. They may not be so optimistic anymore. So we have to like continue to look at this over time and see how the behavior changes. But another explanation, sort of, and probably some combination of the two, is that in order to like, there's a cognitive cost of taking the problem. First, you have to understand the attack. You have to go and you have to like read the big like blog post where you describe the attack, or you maybe listen to the talk. And then beyond that, like the attack is theoretically insured by a smart contract, but that contract may be full of bugs. There may be a trapdoor. The attacker may have written in a trapdoor to get their money back, so you have to read that contract for yourself. So typically in the crypto space, there's always a risk of bugs and trapdoors. But people trust sort of like these like widely respected auditors to like review the code. They get several auditors, and if they all agree, okay, there's no trapdoor, like you have some faith in that. And you're going to trust the attacker's auditor. Maybe, maybe not. So there are some. So we have a way to make this. We made a mechanism design in place to make this at least harder. So beyond our hope that the jurors will continue to be altruistic or whatever. So notice that so if there are n jurors in a round, each juror deposits D. So imagine that n minus 1 votes for Y and 1 votes for X. But then X wins anyway in the appeal, because we have this appeal system. Then that one juror gets everybody else's deposit in that round. So rather than having the deposit sort of like average out over the different rounds of the appeals, like if you're right in a given round and everybody else in that round is wrong, you get everybody's deposit. So you get sort of like a jackpot. If there's a lone voice of reason, you get quite a lot of money. You can get every other person's deposit, particularly if it's quite large. So you have this one guy on the right, he really do Alice's right, it's overturned the appeal, and he gets this large jackpot because he gets everybody else, he gets the other two people's, not that much only two people, but the other two people's deposits. And then the thing is that at this point, the attacker, in order to have to do a pure version of people's epsilon attack, they have to offer a bribe that's large enough to like attract people that might be getting this jackpot, this lone voice of reason jackpot. So the attacker has to offer m people, m minus 1d. So their bribe is paying, throwing is m squared, which might be okay for the attacker if they win, you don't pay it out. But anyway, they have to lock it up. They have to like put this money in a smart contract. And the thing is that m is already growing exponentially. And now because of this extra square, the amount the attacker has to lock up is actually growing faster than the total amount of PNK in the juror pool. So you quickly get to the point where the attacker has to lock up more PNK than will ever exist. So after 13 rounds, based on the current those parameters, you get to the point where the attacker cannot lock up enough PNK. And PNK is probably expensive, but it's not like completely outside of the realm of possibility. So there are some like workarounds to this for an attacker that they can do more complicated things to try to like get around this exploding lockup. But at that point, like the cognitive cost of understanding the new sort of modified attack is even more complicated. So it's like it's an even bigger impetus on the jurors to understand the attack and properly do the perfectly rational thing to accept one up. So I probably don't have a lot of time, so I'll just quickly hit one other attack. So I mentioned that shelling points are based on sort of distinguished choice when people aren't communicating. You're trying to find your friend in the space needle and you had it coordinated with them. That's why you need to look for them in a public place. But what if one juror randomly shouts out, I'm voting Bob? Like, then the other people are like, well, I'm in a three-juror panel. I want to be coherent. I know that guy's voting Bob, I'll vote Bob too. So this is actually not as big a problem as it seems, because you imagine that like you don't want to be coherent with that guy. You don't want to be coherent with this like ultimately three-juror panel. Your goal is to be coherent in the long term with people who ultimately rule. So if the person on the left there is thinking, okay, like sure that guy is voting Bob, but I want to be coherent with this like it's probably going to be appealed. They're going to vote Bob, right? And there's like future panel of jurors down the line, people who haven't even selected yet. They're probably going to vote Alice because Alice is right. Then you want, like, it's still in your interest to vote for Alice and pick for that person. So there are sort of more complicated things you can do to handle this problem. I'll skip over those in the interest of time. We have some theorems on, like, that basically if you follow the more complicated strategies, like, good things happen, but whatever. So if there's any time left, maybe I'll take some questions.
We unfortunately don't have time left, but one will be here. Let's give them a big hand.
Just like it's coming to lunchtime. I'm actually good here too. You are
yeah, so then I think and like ultimately enforcement, like as long as the thing you need is distributed, like the payment is like in the currency of the current place, like enforcement is a lot of check on that. But so the money, while the case is installed, the money the vendors make, the money is because it's like if you log use contract, that will like trigger the money. So essentially it's like okay, so like on chain, how it's going to be backwards. So what happens at this point? They go to court. Yes. Right. So, what is one more? Right. Yeah, so that's always the parties can submit it. You know, like you can show your like photo like your dad was driving or something sort of box. But there's nothing really proof you can like do a picture. I don't know, like you're like sort of go where it's often like from the Amazon, like private like that are currently handling this decentralized way. Because like they have to have different cultures. So like we're it's not worse than that right now. It's also
we don't have our size.
Yeah, I was hoping to. This is very interesting because I'm actually thinking about B2B applications where it's not just a little bit of but it's ongoing relation of good cost, right?
I don't know, maybe, they had a little, probably not. I think they had a month before we checked in.
Potentially, yeah.
So give me a second.
That might, the other party, you might, and basically your car will be like, I was off.
No, this is very
Okay.
you're not talking about like a shoulder.
So how you doing, man?
I'm good.